Hi, welcome to my show, Inspiring Learning with Lily Lau. From this show, I'm going to share with you a program about the generation gaps, and I'm going to start a series. And from today, I will talk about the baby boomers. Moving on, I'll be talking about Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. And what I would like to share with you is that I'm someone who have done quite a fair bit of study about Malaysian generation, in particularly the Malaysians, right? So based on the things that I've studied and learned, I would like to put it in this program and share it with you all so that everybody can learn and understand better, right? The generational issues and how can we connect better with one another due to the differences in the age gaps. Right, so who are the baby boomers? Let me walk you through, right? And before I give you the data, I would like to have and explain, right, some understanding what you think about the baby boomers. And we talk about them. What is in your mind? Do you think of them as your grandparents, your grandma, your granddad, or your parents, right? Somebody who is old, definitely, right? Looking at the pictures, you can also see, right? They are definitely, right, not young anymore. So the question here is, what are the delights? When I say delight here, right, when I talk about the baby boomers, what are the good things that you can think about them? Well, here are just some of the pointers, right? When I ask, what are the delights? What do you like, about baby boomers? Generally, people will say that the baby boomers are fatherly or motherly, right? That means they are someone who is caring and they will want to take care of you and they will be helping, supporting, and they are there, right? Willing to help. And in terms of working, this generation, they have worked for many years and the word lifelong employment truly applies to them. Right now, if you ask or look around, right, baby boomers who are, in their late 50s or they've been working, right, do they work for only one company? Most of the time, the answer is yes. So this is the generation of the people where they have high level of loyalty, right? And the definition of success to them is that, right, you need to work very hard. Success does not come easy and you need to persevere. These are the key delights. When we talk about baby boomers, these are the good things that we can talk about them. How about puzzles, right? Now, what does puzzles mean in this context? It is the behaviors or the things that baby boomers do that you find it very puzzling because you are from a different generation. For example, in general, baby boomers are not risk takers, right? They go for security, they go for steadiness, they go for stability, right? If that is their values, definitely they may advise you not to take risks, right? And if you do not understand where they come from, it is a puzzle to you, right? And when it comes to change, right, because of their age, well, depending on what kind of changes that you're looking at, one good example will be digital transformation. They are not the generation where they can easily transform digitally, right? For that, you need to understand. Now, you may be a Gen Y or a Gen Z, right? Where digital and internet is something that is very normal and common to you, but it may not be to your grandparents, right? So that could be a puzzle. When we say a puzzle, that's where the area of conflict could be, right? And one common feedback that I often get is that this generation of people are very compliant. They follow rules. Whatever that you say, they'll just take it and they'll just do it. Well, there is some reasons behind, right? And What are the irritations? Irritations means that things that they do, you find it very difficult to accept, and it is irritating. Right now, to some, they could, share a lot and always keep telling you what you should do. So from your perspective, they are naggy, right? Well, that's why, you may find it irritating. And some people, right, because of the age difference, they often use this phrase, when I was your age, right? And there they go, talk about what happened, how things used to be. Well, things have changed, but that's how, right? During their time, that was how things were, right? And they like to bring it up. There's nothing wrong. It's just that, if you don't understand, you find this very irritating. And some, right, people tend to like things to be perfect or in absolute order, right? That's where some other people from different generation will find it a little bit difficult to accept, right? And of course, baby boomers are not tech savvy naturally, right? They need to learn. So if you are from Gen Y, Gen Z, right, that is something you may not have realized it, and that can create irritation, right? So these are, the differences because of the age gap, and that can be an area of potential conflict if you do not understand one another well enough due to the age gap. Now, before I proceed further, I would like to share with you my perception of the definition for generation. Normally, people would define generation by year born, right? So when you are born in, this year, you should fall into this category. That is not absolutely correct. It is only used as a guide. It should not be conclusive that you are, based on your year born, you are, Gen Y or Gen Z or whatever. A lot of other factors are involved, and some of other factors is the culture, which country you are born in, because every country has different history with economic development. And we cannot just adopt, everything that is being defined in general by US, that, that is the definition for generation. Because what is happening in US is very different of what is happening here in Malaysia, right? So we need to understand that context, and that has different influences in the mindset, right? So having said that, lifestyle, right, upbringing, education, these are the other factors that will define your thinking, and as a result, your generation as well. Right now, in my opinion, at the end of the day, the generation in addition, right, to the year born, it is about the mindset. Yeah. And the other very important factor is your exposure to technology, right? So we need to understand the variable factors that are involved, and we need to understand the definition of generation. Yeah. And right now, at the end of the day, right, I would say you use the year born as a guide, and you use whatever that I described to you, right, over my series here as a guide, and it is you who shall decide, right, which generation you are born, that you are in. And sometimes there are hybrids, which I will share with you later. And this factor on generation, it is used as a reference, and we should not be overly dependent on it. Why? Because once we go into that, we are stereotyping people and we are labeling people. So be mindful of that, right? Overdoing it, it can deem that you are, doing that, which may not be very good, right? Based on my definition, right now, baby boomers are the people who are born after World War II. Now, World War II ended in 1945, right? So from the definition, they are born from 1946 to 1964. So by age as at 2021, they are, the oldest is 75 and the youngest is 57. Although I use the age and the year born here, be mindful again, this is just a guide, right? Plus minus around there. Yeah. And for the Malaysian baby boomers, I also call them the Merdeka babies. Why? Because they were born, or right, they have the influence of Merdeka during their childhood years, right? In Malaysia, for Malaysia, we have our independence in 1957. So if you look at it, right, those who are born in earlier that, they have gone through what the independence was like, the spirit during that time, and how things were, right? And they have seen how Malaysia was transformed to Malaysia, and how slowly, right, the country was built. So having said that, right, our baby boomers, I will deem them to be the Merdeka babies. And I think it is a nice thing, right, to present. And looking at the situation, right, back then, when we have our independence, 1957, or even after World War. Now, our World War in the Malaya time, right, was attacked by the Japanese, right? We didn't face, I mean, it was already bad enough, but of course, we did not face, other factors, for example, that was faced by the US and other countries which were at war, right? We were attacked by the Japanese. And of course, things were poor. I'm sure you have heard a lot of stories from your grandparents, how they survived, what they ate during those times. Everything was so poor, was so scarce, right? So when the war was over, I mean, to go through, Malaysia has a period of turbulence and disturbances, right? We were, also having a lot of other problems. Nevertheless, right, this generation, they worked very hard. They wanted to create the economy, right? So as of today, whatever that we see, Malaysia now, this group of people played a very huge role to create and build the economy, right? The country, yeah. So at the workplace, by age, they are the oldest. I also regard them as the green, right? They have huge vast of experience with them, right? And those experiences where money cannot buy. The question here is, are you learning from them? Are you, leveraging on what you have so that you can learn more from them? Right. So let's look at the values, right? In general, right? Because of their hardworking, right? They are loyal and they believe in good manners. They are very tolerant, right? That's where they can work, lifelong under one organization. They are very disciplined. They are very committed, and they are self-sufficient, right? So the tagline for this generation is to work hard and hard and hard, right? So they are, right? Think about, the time, your grandparents, some of them may have the money, yeah, and do they really spend it, right? And in those days, some of them also don't even believe in the banking system. They rather keep cash, right, inside your Milo tin and put it under the bed. Think about it, right? Those whatever stories your grandparents tells you, or your old parents tells you, right? It is real, and it is how they were brought up, right? So let's move on. And since we are still in the COVID, right, and Malaysia, we are still going a long way, and hopefully, right, we will see the light at the end of the tunnel soon. The question here is, how have COVID affected the baby boomers? Now, based on my studies of all the 4 generations, right, baby boomer is one of the generations that was highly affected. by the COVID. Why? Right? Now, because of COVID, right, we have to transform by going into digital. The way that you buy things, the way that you do your banking, and so many other things. Right now, last year, when Malaysia has to go into our lockdown, where we call it MCO, right? A lot of people were confused. They don't know what to do, right? And like me too, I was frustrated. In the end, right, last year, most of us didn't understand, what we were going through, and we thought that it was just only temporary, and within a few months, things should resume, right? That was what I thought too, just a few months, yeah, but it didn't happen, and now we are like, already like 16 months, right, down the road, right? Now, the key point here is, when this MCO came into Malaysia, right, a lot of the baby boomers, well, it's either they accept and embrace the technology, and they just remain where they are, who they are, and just hope things would resume. Right now, for those who have no choice and understood the situation, they embrace technology, but they go through it with lots and lots of stress. Did you understand, right? For this group of people, to go into technology is not something that is so natural in your mind, because they were not brought up in that environment. They have to embrace, they have to learn, they have to be ready to accept, right? So for the first time, that was last year, right? Many baby boomers have to do groceries online, make payments, bills online, home delivery online, and even in-home entertainment, right? Okay, and if you are that category who have adopted it, that's good. That means you are learning, and you are adapting into the situation. How about those, right, who are still, who don't even have a smartphone, right, and you have to rely on the children or the grandchildren to help them? That group will also suffer a lot. Right. And we have gone through, Hari Raya celebration without being able to go back to your family. And we have gone through Chinese New Year, Deepavali, and also Christmas celebration, right? Without being able, right, to really travel. So what happened, right? The only way is to connect through the internet by using Skype or Zoom, right, to stay connected. And that, again, I would say, is also the first time for many of the people, especially the baby boomers, the older ones, right, to be digitally connected to your family right now. This year, it could be, it's a recurrent, it is not so bad, right? But last year, it was pretty bad, and that's where the stress was, right? So it all depends, right? How ready are the baby boomers willing to adapt and adopt, right? If you still do not want to use it, well, then I think chances are you won't, and you will just want to rely on your children or grandchildren, right? To do what you are doing right now. For those who have used it, probably you will continue and to do it, and as time goes along, you get used to it, right? So what is the pandemic impact to baby boomers? This is the group that leap most forward in adopting technology during pandemic, right? They are most stressed having to relearn even simple necessities of life, right? Now, they understood the benefits, likely to cherish the old ways and tradition, given the choice, right? Those who could not transform, they would suffer, or they could be isolated. Right, now, factors to engage baby boomers. This one, I refer to the corporates, how do you engage them in adopting technology? What I would like to say here is that there is no one size fits all, right? Every generation has different challenges, and I will share with you this as we go one by one in my series, right? For baby boomers, right, it should be gradual change or minimal change, right? If I mean, to me, changes is a must. So with them, to deal with them, it has to be gradual. We cannot make it drastic. Then that's where they will be lost, right? And they need guidance, and you need to handhold them. When you walk through with them step by step and show them and explain to them, right, it will not be so bad. They could be slow, right? You need to have patience. But what I can tell you, those who want to learn will learn. It's just that you need to walk through with them, hold their hands. They may make mistakes. After showing them one time, well, they will tell you, yes, I got it. But second time, when they do it by themselves, they get lost, right? So you just need to repeat and repeat, right? And eventually, they would be able to get it, right? So my advice here is that be patient with baby boomers. For those who are not so tech savvy, gradually they will get it. Right, now I will be sharing this kind of topic, right, for the other three generations as well. At the end of the day, right, no matter which generation you come from, whether you are a baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Y, or Gen Z, right, although we have different qualities because of the different upbringing and mindset, the vital instincts for each generation is the same. It is how each generation displays the instinct that is different, right? And the differences are in motivation and in expectation, right? That is the only thing, right? To engage a baby boomer, right? You should not go so high tech, right? You should go more on the face-to-face. Go, use the more basic or low-tech gadgets, right? And that's how you can motivate them and even engage them even more, right? And if you have any questions, just drop me an email or WhatsApp me or send me a telegram, right? So I will catch up with you again in my next series about the generational X, and I wish you good day. Thank you.